Fishing with my buddy Dave Thompson today. He's been on a pod of largemouth in the lake here in central Maryland. He's had pretty good luck with the jig. I think he's got him up to about 21 inches. So I made some blade baits last night. I poured them up with my Do It mold and painted them glow. I got a little flashlight. I'm gonna charge them up and hopefully catch them that way as well. So we're gonna jig them, blade bait them. We'll see what happens. We got a snowstorm coming in today while we're out there. It'll probably change over to freezing rain and sleet and all sorts of nastiness, but that's winter fishing. Looking forward to it.
1 to 3 inches of snow possible in northern portions of Montgomery, Loudoun counties. That's why they're in a winter weather advisory through tonight. Winter storm.
A couple weeks ago I was out here and I spent the first couple hours of the day working the dead weeds, thinking that the bass might be maintaining their position there just to take care of some residual heat. Came up blank, basically pitching a jig into that kind of cover. Started patrolling along a 20-foot deep contour line with the fish finder on and started marking a lot of fish in an area where I really didn't expect they were going to be. But at any rate, it was the first sign of activity I'd seen all day. Came back to that area with the jig, caught a couple of nice bass, and I noticed in that area that there was a lot of fish activity. Came back last weekend, got a couple more nice ones under the same kind of conditions, 20 to 25 feet deep, basically pulling a jig along the bottom.
Besides the jig fishing, we're gonna do a little bit of blade bait fishing. And Dave, I got a couple of these for you, if I can get them unstuck from my glove here. That's the trouble with travel hooks.
Oh yeah,
pull that off.
And felt gloves?
Yeah,
stuck
just
there.
Rip that off.
Got it.
So, those are the ones I made last night.
Nice.
And they'll glow. I don't know if you have a little flashlight or anything.
I do.
Yeah, you can charge it up.
Charge it up.
And how are you fishing your jigs?
Well, what I generally do in the cold water is it's a drop, let it hit the bottom, and just wait about 5 to 10 seconds, and then just start to ease up to see if anybody's home. I don't get as many bites on the drop in the winter time. Most of the strikes come as I'm dragging the jig along. It's either a drag or a short hop. Sometimes they'll hit it during the pause. Other times when I feel myself coming over a piece of cover as it's dropping, I'll feel the pop. We do have a tendency to catch the bigger bass in here during the winter time. What I did is there's 2 hills that lead into the water here, and there's a gully running right down the middle of them. So what I'm doing right now is cruising along the 20-foot contour line, and I'm looking to see if I can mark fish like I have the last couple of weekends. This is the area where I saw a lot of activity, and I'm not positive whether they're bluegills, bass, but for whatever reason they're finding conditions down here, down 20 feet deep, to their liking in this colder water.
Right, they just started drifting over this right here. You can see that that's a fish hugging real close to the bottom there. I'm using my chart here just to zigzag back and forth over that spot because I've seen him a couple times. And he's just laying right on bottom. Just charging up the blade bait with the flashlight, making that whole thing glow. I got a nice two-tone green on the head, and the rest of it's pretty white. But this little LED flashlight should charge it up and make it really bright down there. They can see it from a long ways off. Here's a real quick once-over on how to make the blade bait. You put the plate in the mold, close it, pour the lead. That's what it looks like when it comes out of the mold. You trim the pour spout. I like to use sandpaper to rough up the surface of the plate so that when you do your powder painting, that glow powder paint is going to stick to it. Without doing this, it'll flake off. Then I used a different color powder paint for the head. These are both glow powder paints. I just put a little bit of green on there. I think I did one blue. Then I sprayed on some UV blast which is going to help it reflect ultraviolet light. And then I'm adding the treble hooks. It's almost done. I did put a 3D eye on there, and that's the dual lock snap. That's what you actually tie your line to. This pile right here I made in under 2 hours. I think there are 8 or 9 of them in there, and they're expendable now. All right, I got one out in the middle of the lake on the. We ran over. We were actually going from one spot to the next. And we ran over a spot where I could see a bunch of marks, and we backed over it, and it's actually the main channel for this reservoir. So I had actually snagged what I think is probably somebody's Christmas tree they sunk. I saw a lot of marks on it that looked like panfish, and jigged it for long enough that I could get a sense of, okay, right here is one bank, right here is the next, and I'm going to cast with the channel. And he was somewhere right on the lip of that channel. So, good start.
Nice fish. Yep.
Now, our fish was released and didn't go down, so it's a common thing when you pull them up from that deep. People fizz them. You can stick a tube down there and they basically belch out what is, you know, a lot of air that puffs up because you bring them up from deep. Or you can stick a needle in them to fizz them. I got another option, and this is called, well, a 2-ounce bare jig head. And all that's going to do, I'm not going to hook him hard. I'm going to hook him, I want to just hook him so that he will just be barely hooked, and I keep tension on there, and that is going to lead him down by the bottom jaw, and that 2 ounces is enough to really just get him to the bottom. That's all we're doing. He's still hooked. And once he's now at the bottom, the air that's inside that fish is going to compress. He's going to be able to stay down there. I can actually see him here on the depth finder. He's at about 16 feet. We're over 30. I'm going to just keep feeding line and then get off of there, fishy. All I need is a hook to pop off, and then he's good to go. He's actually in good shape right now. I'm marking up the fish here, man. Do you see him?
Yeah, I do.
All over fish.
Yep. They pulled out. They pulled back off the, you know.
All right, here we go. And that's just my jig head left.
No.
So I got the fish delivered back down to where that air bubble in him that was keeping him floundering along the surface. You know, let him go back deep. So another way to get your, you know, your bloated, air bloated fish back down. Blade baits are great because they catch everything. They're a great multi-species lure. Unfortunately, they also catch everything. I got somebody's junk out here in the middle of the lake. It was probably a full spool when they dropped it in there, and my blade bait caught it, and I brought it up. So at least I'm pulling some trash out of the lake today. The key to blade baiting when it's cold is to find the most dramatic vertical structure you can find out there. Now, certainly behind us we have the dam. There's riprap at the dam. That's a good spot. Some of the more highland reservoirs that I fish for smallmouth, you're going to find much more dramatic vertical structure than you will on a reservoir like here. This is more of a Piedmont reservoir with rolling hills as opposed to higher peaks. Now on those highland reservoirs, you'll have, you know, rock slides, or you'll have like a ledge that'll come out and it'll drop like 30 feet all at once, and then have a little 3-foot shelf and then drop another 10 feet. That vertical rock structure is great, and that's where I've caught a lot of really nice smallmouth. This isn't really a smallmouth reservoir. We got largemouth out here. The most dramatic vertical structure we have is not that dramatic at all. It's the creek channel. So the way that you're doing it is you're looking at your depth finder and this is running east and west. So the head of the reservoir is up there. That's the dam behind us. And I just zigzag back and forth until I hit it. And sometimes it'll just, on the depth finder screen, you'll see it come down real gradually, and then all of a sudden you'll see a second bottom, and it'll kind of fade in to where it's kind of a lighter color, and you have those two bottoms. That's where the two creek, the banks of the creek channel come together. That's where we're going to target. It's a good idea to go ahead and get with your chart, mark waypoints on there. I did this years ago the old-fashioned way, using marker buoys. Cross over it, drop a marker buoy. And before too long, whether it's waypoints or marker buoys, you have a string that really shows you the creek channel. And then, whether you're dragging a jig or vertical jigging the blade bait here, out in this open water, you have markers so you can stay on those spots. We've zigzagged back and forth, and we're on fish right here. It's important, and you're actually going to snag less with a blade bait if, instead of making those long casts, you just make those real short ones and you get right over it. As you approach, you're going to drop with the rod tip, let more line out, and that's really where you're going to get your best bites, is as it's dropping that last foot or so. In fact, I don't even like to pop it up a foot. I like to pop it up 6 inches if I can. Pop up, drop down. On that drop down is when you're going to feel sometimes nothing. You get used to feeling it going thud, 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 and then all of a sudden nothing. And you're like, whoa, ooh, there's one. You gotta wait to feel nothing. Sometimes you'll feel it, they'll grab it, but when you feel nothing where there should be bottom, it's in a fish's mouth, so set the hook.
We've been marking some fish in 30 feet of water here, and that seems to be our best bet, is look for the concentrations of fish. Come here, baby. Come here. That one got the heart bumping.
Hold them up. Nice, man. Nice fat largie.
That greenie.
What'd you get them on?
Got him on a 1/2 ounce arky headed jig with a beaver trailer.
You got it handy?
I do. This is what we are working with right there.
Nice. How deep you think we were?
I was in 30, and I
All
was
right.
marking a lot of fish.
There they are.
I don't know what they're doing here, but they're here.
Tell me what you're doing.
Getting a quick picture of for Kayak Wars here.
What's Kayak Wars?
Kayak Wars is a free online tournament where you catch bass of a minimum size, a lot of different species. There's saltwater species, freshwater species. Largemouth minimum size is 16 inches, smallmouth is 15 inches. That's pretty much what I fish for. So, and the more points you get, you're entered into a raffle at the end of the year for some free stuff. They give away a kayak and some other prizes. All right, we're gonna send her back to the deep. Take off, baby, take off. There she goes.
All right, another one on the blade bait. A lot of fish on the depth finder here. Just one little lip and then the back of the head. Ah, fishy. 2 treble hooks. Nice to have 2 treble hooks on a bait like that. Alright, don't tell your friends. it's coming easy. That's what they're there eating. Sorry, little guy. I think those are the numbers of fish that we're seeing down there. We get schools of the bluegill and the occasional bass that cruises in and they eat it. It's the same thing when I'm on the smallmouth reservoir. I will see schools of white perch or yellow perch, and that's one of the first things I'll do when I head out in the morning is I'll look at the depth finder and notice what depth those fish are holding on. You know, if they're holding at 18 feet, I'm going to find structure at 18 feet. Today, for whatever reason, 30, right around 30 feet. Dave was saying the other day he was getting fish, and we did see a couple fish in the low 20s, but by and large, for whatever reason, they're at 30 feet. Right now I'm at 32, and there's a couple there. So find the preferred depth and just work it. We got bait fish down there. Little bluegill. Little midwinter snacks.
Like fishing the jig, I like the excitement of feeling that tap down there, and then you really don't know what it may be. It might be a 12-incher, it might be a 15-incher, or it might be a 5-pounder down there. You just don't know. Just feel like, with me fishing a jig, some areas I feel like I'm exploring the bottom and waiting for that interruption.